Hi, this is Chris from Team Phoenix. Welcome back. So we've got the verdict in for the Cat West trial. This is a case, if you're not familiar with, if you go back a couple of videos on our channel, you'll see the details of the case. And the trial's been occurring this week. It's been going on this week and it finished yesterday, it seems. And we have the verdict in, and this article's got some very interesting information in it. So we will go through that now, and it gives all the details of not only the case but also of the trial. So it is headed, as you can see, Cat West trial. Jeff West found guilty of reckless manslaughter. So Jeff West was convicted Friday night, that was yesterday, of reckless manslaughter in the January 2018 death of his wife, Calera mother and online exhibitionist Kathleen Dawn West, known to most as Cat or Kitty Cat. Prosecutors argued Cat West died from a blow to the head from a lucid absinthe bottle wielded by her husband. Jeff West's attorney, however, said she died as the result of a drunken accidental fall. Jeff West, originally charged with murder, was motivated to kill his wife over her excessive drinking and use of social media to promote her adult website, according to the theory presented to jurors Friday by Shelby County Assistant District Attorney Daniel McBrayer. The jury deliberated nearly 5 hours before announcing the verdict. At one point during the deliberation, jurors asked the time of death, which wasn't given in the week-long trial. Jurors also wanted help finding data from cell phone health app to show Cat and Jeff West's steps that night, and to again view body cam video of the first police officer to encounter Jeff West that morning. After the jury delivered its verdict at about 10 p.m, Shelby County Circuit Judge Bill Bostic polled the jurors individually, which showed the decision was unanimous. The reduced charge of manslaughter is a Class B felony punishable by 2 to 20 years in prison. Bostic revoked Jeff West's $500,000 bond, and he will remain jailed until he is sentenced on January 11th, 2021. Almost 3 years to the day authorities say Cat West was killed. Jeff West showed no reaction as the verdict was read. We maintain that he was innocent, that the evidence supported a not guilty verdict. So we're disappointed, but we have to respect the jury's decision at this point. His attorney, John Robbins. Jeff is stunned, Robbins said. He has maintained he did not kill his wife since day one, and that's still his position. It's never going to change, and all he can do is keep fighting this. McBrayer and Assistant District Attorney Ben Fuller said they were pleased to have brought justice in the case. But beyond that, McBrayer said, while we continue to believe this was an intentional murder, we are pleased he is being brought to justice. As for sentencing, McBrayer said they will be asking for a prison term. We will be asking the court to place him on probation. I think it's appropriate, Robbins said. The family, Cat West's parents, would want that. They're in shock. It was an unusual case for prosecutors in that the victim's family sided with the suspect. Today, with the victim's mother testifying, that was obviously hard for her, and as you noticed, we chose to not take any cross-examination of her because that's an incredibly difficult moment for her, McBrayer said. Fuller said he thinks the evidence taken into totality is what led to the jury's verdict against Jeff West. Asked what he thought the key factors against Jeff West were, Robbins said, we're in Shelby County. That's the key factor. We're in a very conservative county, a county that's very pro-law enforcement. The couple testimony showed returned home after dinner and a stop at the liquor store where they bought Jameson whiskey and the bottle of absinthe. They both drank a lot, and then Jeff West took 2 photos of his wife, who posed in a pink bra, pink multicoloured panties and pink stiletto heels. At some point, McBrayer said, an argument erupted. He is tired and fed up with this Instagram stuff, McBrayer said. He grabs her phone and chucks it out the front door where it lands in the street. Prior testimony showed that Cat West's phone was cracked. Cat West went outside to retrieve her phone. She was wearing only the pink bra, no pants or panties or shoes. McBrayer said he believes Jeff West grabbed the liquor bottle, followed her outside and, holding the bottle in an inverted position, delivered the fatal blow to her head. This marriage was not in a good place, McBrayer said as he delivered closing arguments. This was a relationship on the rocks. She's dead. He doesn't know what to do because he's got a body outside of his home, McBrayer said. He's a trained investigator. Jeff West, a former Birmingham Southern College campus security officer and US Army veteran, then decided to make it look like she fell, the prosecutor argued. Jeff West carefully placed the absinthe bottle on top of her cell phone and went back inside, leaving the front door open. Jeff West then waited for somebody to find his wife's dead body in the street. That's what happened out there, McBrayer said. She mattered. Find the defendant guilty in the murder of Kathleen Dawn West. So Jeff West's attorney, however, said that he doesn't believe that she was killed. She fell and hit her head, Robbins said. There's no murder here. Robbins said while the couple had arguments, like most married couples do, there was no discord or threat of violence in the marriage, especially not that night. Robbins again went over text messages from the two that day that showed them making plans for that night and using terms of endearment with one another. The couple had matching tattoos on their wrists that read "For Life" and often ended their text with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, meaning "I love you for life," or 1, 2, 3, meaning "I love you." Robbins pointed out that no blood or DNA was found on Jeff West's clothes or his hands. And Robbins said no hair or scalp or brain tissue was found on the lucid absinthe bottle. There's no suggestion of a struggle or fight in the house, Robbins said. Jeff West, the attorney said, cooperated with police throughout the entire interrogation, voluntarily giving them permission to search the couple's phones. He addressed the observation that Jeff West showed little to no emotion in the lengthy videotaped interview with police. People deal with stressful situations, trauma in different ways, Robbins said. Not everybody stands there and cries. He's a trained soldier. Soldiers are trained to keep their emotions in check. Robbins said that his client fell asleep that night and Cat West continued to drink and ultimately went outside, which testimony showed was not uncommon for her, and fell to her death. Jeff West, Robbins said, awoke because his dog started barking shortly after 5 a.m. and he began to go through the house searching for his wife. That was what a witness saw when she reported to police that she saw a man pacing inside the couple's home, even before police arrived. When Jeff West couldn't find his wife, he then tried to call her cell phone. Once he got no answer, he then went outside and discovered his wife was dead. The closing arguments followed 4 days of testimony. The jury began deliberations about 5 p.m. Friday, that was yesterday, after being instructed by the judge that they could consider the charge of murder and the lesser charge of reckless manslaughter at the request of the prosecution. Robbins objected to the lesser charge, but when it was clear the judge was going to allow it, Robbins asked for an even lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide, a misdemeanor, which Bostic would not allow. Jeff West on Friday morning was expected to take the stand in his defence. However, he later spoke with his family and told the judge he would instead stay silent. Cat West's mother, Nancy Martin, testified for just under 30 minutes on behalf of Jeff West. Martin said her daughter met Jeff in 2004 when she worked at a tanning salon. Jeff West, an army recruiter, had an office a couple doors down. They married in Las Vegas that same year and have one daughter, Lola, who is a teen. Martin testified that her daughter was a big drinker. She could not drink just one drink, Martin said. Where everyone else present might have 1 or 2 drinks, Cat West far exceeded that and usually stayed up after everyone else went to bed. She'd be up drinking, her mother testified. Martin also said that when her daughter was drunk, she would often run around and even dance outside. No matter the temperature, Cat West would be barefoot and usually scantily clad. Martin said she witnessed it both when they lived in Florida and in Calera. Cat West would jump on the family's trampoline or dance on a nearby electrical box. Martin said she last saw her daughter alive 2 days before her death, when Martin and her husband, John Martin, took Cat West to a follow-up doctor's appointment for a breast augmentation surgery Cat West had 6 weeks earlier. Next time she saw her daughter, Martin said, was at the funeral home. Martin accompanied Jeff West there. Though Jeff West showed no emotion throughout police interrogations or during the trial, Martin said he cried at the funeral home when they picked out a casket. He broke down when they viewed her body, she said. I know it hurt me, Martin said, but I can't imagine how he felt. The defence rested its case after calling Nancy Marty as their only witness. A state medical examiner called by the prosecution testified that the wound to Cat West's skull was so significant that it was not likely to have been caused by a fall. Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences pathologist Dr. Stephen Boudreau said that the laceration to Cat West's skull was 2 inches long, with the skin split open and contusions surrounding the wound. The force of the blow and subsequent brain bleed, Boudreau said, pushed the brain down to the stem with deadly results. It was a considerable amount of force to cause an injury like that, the doctor said. Cat West would likely have lost consciousness immediately, he said. Scalp wounds bleed like mad. It's the brain, a very vascular structure. Asked by Fuller if it was possibly to get that type of injury from a fall, Boudreau said it wasn't likely, especially at her height of 5'2". The doctor said Cat West died from blunt force trauma. Whatever it was had an edge, but it wasn't sharp, he said, of the object that he believes caused her death. Cat West had some bruises on her right leg in varying stages of healing that weren't likely due to whatever incident caused her death. She also had a fresh injury to her toe that probably happened in the same time frame of the fatal head injury. Cat West's body was found across the street from the couple's Greenwood Circle home. Crime scene photos and autopsy photos shown to the jury throughout the trial showed her head and upper body lying in the gutter and asphalt while her legs were in a neighbour's grass. A couple of feet from her body was a large pool of blood and a blood trail flowing downhill. There was also the bottle of lucid absinthe nearby resting on a cell phone. The doctor asked if it was possible she could have obtained that type of injury and travelled a significant distance, such as from the backyard or inside the home. Boudreau said that it was unlikely. Not only would she have been rendered unconscious almost immediately, but she would have left a trail of blood which police said they did not find, he testified. Boudreau also testified that Cat West's blood alcohol content was 0.23, nearly 3 times the legal limit to drive, and said urine and eye fluid toxicology testing indicated that at some point that night her alcohol levels would have been significantly higher. Boudreau was the last witness for the prosecution as the state rested its case. So, interesting, the jury in the end came to reckless manslaughter. I mean, in my opinion, it sounds like, to me, it sounds like they had an argument and the husband smacked her over the head with the bottle. That's what it sounds like to me. So, reckless manslaughter seems a little bit unjust to me. I don't know. Be interested to know how you guys feel. I did see an earlier article here that was from Crime Online, and it was talking about how they found the husband's fingerprints on the bottle. And there was a piece here where, so it says here, a forensic expert testified in court that Jeff West's inverted thumbprint was found on the bottle in an area that indicated he had held the bottle by the neck. A forensic expert also testified that Cat West's blood was found on the bottle and on a white shirt found lying on a hamper in the home's master bathroom. Jeff West's attorney reportedly noted during cross-examination that investigators could not determine how old the blood evidence was. The defence attorney also reviewed what he claimed was the sequence of events the night before Cat West was found dead. The lawyer reportedly said that Cat had asked her husband to photograph her in sexy lingerie after they got home from their date. He claimed that West fell asleep downstairs at around 10:30 p.m. after consuming several alcoholic drinks and not wake up until 5 a.m. the next day to the sound of a dog barking and police outside his home. The teenager had reportedly spotted Cat's body that morning and called police. Following testimony about a vaginal swab that detected the presence of sperm cells but too few to complete an identification, Reed appeared to suggest that Cat may have been with another man not long before her death, despite his client's own insistence in interviews with police that his wife had never been unfaithful. So that's, interesting evidence that, or story that the defence were trying to put forward. But so they found the fingerprints. A forensic expert found that the fingerprints were her husband's, and the way the fingerprints were found, was consistent with the bottle being held inverted by the neck. So obviously you got the heavy end of the bottle being, presented or used. So yeah, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on that. Whether you think reckless manslaughter was an unjust sentence. Seems to have possibly got away with murder in this case. To me, it seemed a little bit more clear cut and certainly worthy of more than manslaughter. But I know how these trials go, and I know it can be difficult sometimes to get murder charges. And obviously, you got the defence putting forward their story of events using the fact that Cat West was a drinker, could have been heavily drunk and fallen, and then you got her family as well saying the same thing, that she had a drink problem, and it didn't mention it in here, but it has been mentioned before by her family that she had bipolar problems. But I found that a little bit odd that her family was so kind of supportive of the husband. But end of the day, that's what's come out of the verdict. So Jeff West found guilty of reckless manslaughter.